Yeah, Danny, Kenny was talking about after the game Wednesday. Just I'm having an issue with the team taking so many jumpers there in the first half. I'm wondering, as you look back at the tape, was there a reason why there were so many jumpers, and they just couldn't get the ball in the paint as much?
Well, I think that's twofold. From the standpoint of as a player and being a former player, you always feel there's a level of confidence when you are open and you're in your range to shoot the basketball. And there's a fine line that we want to make sure that our guys maintain in being aggressive, but also understand that one of the better things that we do is attack the paint, which puts teams in the bonus, which gets us to the free throw line. And so having a better feel for time, score, and momentum in those situations as to when we take those jump shots. But, the bottom line for us is we want to execute our offense to get open opportunities. Now, those open opportunities also come in the form of scouting report as to what they want you to shoot and what they are comfortable with you shooting. And so having a balance for that. There are times where you're going to have an open shot and you shoot it and you miss it. Then the next time it's, hey, you know what, let me get a little bit closer. Or let me get a paint touch, force help, and kick it to somebody else for an open shot. So it's a fine line. So we want guys to be confident in shooting the basketball, but also understand time, score, momentum of the ball game.
Danny, along those lines, it seemed like you guys had kind of turned a corner offensively for several games and now have maybe taken a step back. Is that more what you guys have done or not done, or has it been more the defenses you've been facing?
Well, I think you can attribute it to a little bit of both. I think there's some things that we can do where we could execute a little bit better, but I think it's also part of scouting report when teams have watched us. The last time we played Syracuse, we shot a really high percentage from the field, and we did some good things offensively, but we had too many letdowns in certain areas on the defensive end, namely in transition and losing a few guys. And so I think it's just a combination of both, understanding that teams are going to try to take away certain things, but we have to impose our will and get what we want and not settle all the time offensively. And then defensively, I think, we talk about it all the time, just our awareness and knowing, you go out and you might ID a player as a driver, if you will, but if that driver makes a couple shots, then we have to do a better job of adjusting on the fly as to saying, okay, maybe now he's a slasher, capable shooter and driver.
Danny, how have, I guess you and this coaching staff tried to keep the guys' spirits high and try to keep that confidence up when you've been kind of going through this rough stretch?
Well, the big picture for us is life. Every day you show up. And that's the mindset that we have. Every day we show up, we put forth our best effort, and we try to improve in some way, shape, or fashion. And, we're dealing with young teenagers that don't always understand big picture in life, but that's the message that we try to display and show them every day. As you show up and you give us the best that you have, we're going to give you the best that we have, and we try to get better for that particular day. And we try to stack days.
Just when you're coming off a week where you don't have a game and you're able to spend some more time, just focusing on yourself. Just how frustrating was that for the team to come out and just not be able to put things together against Duke on Wednesday night?
Well, anytime you don't get the desired result, it's always going to be a level of frustration. I think you go back and you look at, you talk about the game, you talk about the mistakes we made, you talk about the things we did well, and then in this league, in this profession, you've got to move it to the back and then concentrate on what's in front of you, and that's what we can control right now is going into this next game, knowing the game that we played earlier against Syracuse was a high-scoring affair, that we want to make sure that we present a little bit more resistance the defensive front, and I'm sure their coach Red is saying the same thing to them. It was like 90 points in that game from both teams, and so, we want to make sure we come out into this ball game and we do a good job of providing resistance to their guards. Their guards are tremendous players. We can talk about Mintz, Starling, and Copeland is playing really well off the bench for them, and making sure that those guys are uncomfortable, so to speak, in terms of shooting the basketball, making sure that it's always a contested shot. And then offensively for us, we want to be in attack mode. We don't want to settle. We want to make sure we get our paint touches. We would like to be the first team to the bonus in every half. And we've gotten away from that to a certain extent, but, that's something that we've been hitting on home these last few days of practice.
On a similar note, Kenny was driving home the need to come out against Duke very strong defensively, and then it doesn't happen. Obviously, that's a theme going into Syracuse as well. What can you do to, I guess, kind of wake the guys up before the game, before the ball's tipped, to say, okay, this is what we're talking about. This is the moment here. Let's go out and do what we've been talking about.
Well, for us, it goes back to stacking days, in preparation. This is what we've been talking about. These are things that we need to improve upon. These are things we need to do better. These are things that we're doing well, and continue to harp on those, and we'll do that today. We'll do that tomorrow when we come in for shoot-around. We'll do that before the game. And then hopefully when we step out there on the court, we'll have some carryover in regards to the things that we've been talking about and working on the last few days of practice.
You were talking about the bonus, and you mentioned that it has been early in the year, you guys were getting to the line a lot more. Is that a mentality? Is that something that, drawing fouls, you can do that in different ways. What is it, and how does that fluctuate, I guess?
Well, I guess the best way to put it is we want paint touches or lane touches, whatever you call the key area. And so you can do that by the pass, you can do that by the dribble. And that's the mindset for us. We feel like whenever we get the ball to the paint, good things happen. Good things happen in regards to making the defense shrink the floor, making the defense come help, putting the defense in rotation. And then from there, we have to do a better job, especially against this type of Syracuse team, because they have great active hands and they cause a lot of turnovers, of making a good decision once we get to that ACC area, which is right below the free throw line. At that point, we have to be ready to shoot the basketball, drop it down to our big, or spray it out to one of our shooters. And then if our shooters don't have anything, they've got to be able to put their head down and get another paint touch and continue to compromise the defense until we get them in a situation where we can draw a foul or we can get an easier scoring opportunity. But that's the mindset. Every time we, have the basketball and we have multiple passes and we get multiple lane touches, good things happen for us offensively.
Danny, as a player, when you come in against an opponent that, just like you say, put up a bunch of points against at their place, a couple of bounces go the opposite way, you probably win that game. Do you gain a little bit more confidence when you're facing them the second time?
I think that's possible, but, reflecting back on player days, a lot of it should be some resentment, if you will, based upon what happened in the course of that ball game, and knowing that, like you said, a bounce here, a bounce there is probably a different outcome, but we have to impose our will throughout the whole course of the ball game. And that's something that we talk about on a regular basis, and that's something that we've shown our guys in preparation for Syracuse. These were things that we did well. These are things we didn't do well. And we have to capitalize on the things we did well, and then we have to limit what we didn't do well. And we have to do a much better job of taking care of the basketball there. And then for us also in this game is transition defense. We know Syracuse is a team that likes to get out in transition, so we have to make sure that we have great floor balance and the shots that they're shooting are over us, and there's more resistance in terms of being in front of the basket when they shoot the basketball.